Hello, everybody. It is time for everyone's favorite segment of sounds, all of our artists' favorite, the interview, where I get to ask you guys a couple of bit of questions to get to know you all. You guys will get some opportunities to plug some various projects or upcoming gigs, etc. And our viewers get to learn about what makes y'all tick. So, let's get started with our first question here. Going on down the line, how long has each one of you been like a musician, been musicking, etc.?
So I've been playing drums for most of my life. I started when I was about 4 years old, and it's taking lessons. I had a scaled down drum set. I eventually got a larger drum set when I was about 7 or so. I wasn't in school band until high school, and that was when I started to get more serious about drum set music in general. But in addition to that, percussion. So currently, I'm a music major at the university, and I'm in the percussion studio, and I am principal percussionist in the orchestra and the drummer for Jazz One here.
Nice. Would you like to introduce yourself as well?
I probably should do that, shouldn't
Yeah.
I? Is that an important detail?
It might help to just build some familiarity with people.
Yeah, fair enough. My name's Nick Adams. And now our other Nick.
Hi, I'm other Nick Franco. I've been playing music since I was 11. I kind of picked up bass. It was either that or hand drums, and I don't know. That was around the time I discovered gorillas, so I was like, yeah, I'll go with bass because that's cool. And I played it kind of on the side while I was doing everything for about 10 years, and then once I got out of college, I started taking it a lot more seriously and learning some actually hard stuff, not just playing for fun, you know.
Nice.
Yeah.
My name's Andy Hansen. I've been playing music in different fashions since about 6th grade. Started on tenor saxophone, kind of stuck with that all the way through college, jazz band, concert band, marching band, etc. Took about a semester off and then picked up the guitar and just kind of fell in love with the creativity aspect of it. You get to write your own songs, and you can do what you want with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Rose Mish. I'm from Minnesota. I've been playing violin since I was about 7. Thanks to my dad, who is our music teacher, orchestra teacher in Pine Island, Minnesota. So shout out to Joe. I started with the Suzuki method as a violinist and had a couple different teachers, played in the school orchestra, obviously. And I started doing jazz improvisation type violin music with the Randy Sabine jazz strings method, and went to a couple camps with him for that, and that was a lot of fun. That really made me want to play more like alternative string music, like playing in bands and playing jazz and being more spontaneous and creative with the violin.
That's awesome. I definitely really love the sound and the tone that you're able to get out of your instrument, and I think it really does suit the band Wyblue really well together. So I applaud you for really cultivating that.
Thank you. My favorite thing to do as a kid was just to play along with like my favorite rock bands on the boombox. So.
Nice. So I think the natural question when we've got a band is to obviously ask, how did you guys all meet? Who wants to tell the story for that?
I can. So it's kind of a winding road. Rose and I met, 5-6 years ago now. Thanks to Rob Madison on campus here. And we started playing together, writing together. A lot of it, Rose was like, we can make these songs better, Andy. and they've only blossomed since then. We've had 2 different members of the band come and go, but Greg Manning out at Aviary Studio has been a gem of a human being. When we asked him for help, he's like, I got you. So both Nick and Nick over here Nick and other Nick, has been introduced to us through him. And that's been, gosh, in the last 6 months or so. So that's kind of how we all met.
So I should lead off my talking here by doing what Andy sometimes forgets to do, which is promote our already existing albums. So we currently have two albums out there, Hometown and Burning Bridges. And I came in when they were concluding the recording process for Burning Bridges. So I did 3 out of the 5 tracks on that. And that was just a joy and an experience. And through that, we just connected, and it was working so well that we just decided to keep working together.
Nice. Now, I know that before the show we had talked a bit about how for you guys' recording process, you hadn't really gone formally into the studio, but you guys did a lot of your own recording. Why don't you tell our audience a little bit about that, what that's kind of been like for you, like being self-produced, you know? How that, like what you like about it, what you kind of wish there was more of for yourselves, whatever you really want to go on for that.
Yeah, so for, kind of self-producing, self-recording, a lot of the all of our first album, Hometown, was recorded in my basement with, snippets here or there recorded elsewhere. But for the most part, it was all put together in my basement. And you learn a lot about how to make sound work in your favor. And you can do a lot with just putting something behind the microphone, even if like the furnace is running. If you set it up just right, you can pretty much hide that. So yeah, just learn how to use mics and audio settings to really do the best by the music. And then for Burning Bridges, 2 of the tracks out of the 5 were from the basement again, and 3 out of the 5, the ones Nick was referencing, we were able to get into Aviary Studio out of Menominee and work with Greg out there, and it's a very different process out at the studio when someone else is controlling the recording. Someone else is the expert at where to place microphones and how to best capture your song and your music sonically and to the best of its ability.
Yeah, I definitely, I know a little bit about that since I'm a little bit of a recording junkie myself, but nah, I've been hearing the aviary just pop up more and more around town. Like, it just seems to have sprung up overnight almost with how popular it's gotten. It's really cool to just kind of be able to hear all the stuff that's Greg over there has been able to do for you guys. Now, I'm going to ask you a really hard question. It's going to be the one that every person always dreads when I ask it, so...
Ask us right. Go for it.
Are you sure you want to have that much gusto?
Please. Yes,
all right.
I'm ready.
All right. I'm going to make you choose your favorite children. What's your favorite song you wrote?
Don't Lose That Way.
Oh, that was fast.
Don't Lose That Way, hands down. Rose and I have talked about this many times. It's one of the first songs that she really like. I mean, I'm not going to speak. I can't speak for you, but it's one of the first that I think captures a lot of people. We played a show down in Rochester at Forager Brewery recently, and when we played that song, we always try to end with that song. And when we played that, I mean, it's a loud brewery, people talking, people having a good time, but by the end, the whole place was silent. The whole place was silent, just engaged in the song and engaging in the experience. And for me, that until something better comes along, that will always be my favorite song that I've put words to pen and words through pen and onto paper, and these 3 musicians have made it just blossom into something even better.
That's an absolutely stunning story. I love that. Any other dissenting opinions?
My favorite Wyblue song is All the Way. I'm sorry. That was not the right one. I'm sorry. That was incorrect. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
So embarrassing. It's a mental.
Well, that sounds like a really good song title.
Man.
I'm going to write a song to that
No,
this week.
I got confused.
You're
I
good.
got confused.
You're good. There's so many.
My favorite Wyblue song is All I Know. We cut that, right? We edited that? Is that what just happened?
We'll see.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
Why is it your favorite song?
For the same reason that Don't Lose Your Ways is your favorite song, is the effect that it has. And if you're not familiar with us, that song is on the first record. There are no drums on that song. I don't play drums on it live. And so I have a very much an outsider's perspective on that. And it's still my favorite Wyblue song. But with that being said, there are some upcoming songs that I'm really looking forward to that I had a little bit more input on and that you're going to hear me on.
All right. Interesting. Any other opinions?
I think my favorite song, I mean, it's hard to pick favorites, like you said. Don't Lose That Way is great. I think Icarus will always hold a special place in my heart because it's the first one we recorded as like a full 4-piece band, not with all the existing members, but with our other 2 members. We recorded it to prepare for the Tiny Desk concert submission that NPR does. And I don't know, there's just something about that song. I just really love the way it flows and the message of, feeling helpless sometimes.
Nice.
I would say my favorite is Why Did You Go? I almost forgot that title too. But that one just because it's I enjoy playing it. It's not too simple. It's not too complicated. It's just right there in the middle. Right there is for bass player. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that, like, from what I've heard from you guys' music, you guys sit in a really nice, comfortable pocket, like, in my opinion, where, like, I think there's a really good amount of complexity to your music, and there's a lot for, like, an attentive ear to really grab onto. But also, like, if you just kind of want to sit back and chill, it's, like, really great for that. So I love that kind of aspect to your sound there. In sounds we often get into, we like to dive into the creative process on things. I like to pick different people's brains on how they create stuff. So what kind of gives you guys inspiration when you're sitting down trying to write some songs?
I think, I've really kind of developed quite a bit as a songwriter in the last few years. Nick and I, when we last met on Zoom, just to kind of, catch up and just make sure, kind of keep moving forward on songwriting. Nick mentions all the time, this song seems pretty, amateur compared to some of the songs that we're doing now. I'm like,
I like to tease him so he doesn't get too big of a head, because he's a genuinely good songwriter. He's very talented, and so sometimes I'll just tear apart things for
Got to make sure you can still get through the door,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just from my perspective, for just general songwriting, I think a lot of songwriters come from a lot of songwriters come from many different directions to their art, to what they end up creating and what they say is a more or less final project. But I also think that a lot of musicians and a lot of artists come from a lot of the same places. The way I've kind of focused on songwriting and my creative process is trying to deal with the questions that I don't know the answers to. Whether you're talking about life or death, or some of the heavy moments in life, or some of the things that should be celebrated. I find my best processing through songwriting. I find my best way to find an answer to a question I don't know the answer to through the creative process with songs. I think it's kind of a trope at this point, but you got to write the crap out to get to the good stuff, and I've really latched on to that in the last couple of years, where you just got to keep writing. And you're going to write a lot of songs about some sad stuff. You're going to write some songs that are about some happy stuff, but in the end, if you keep writing, you're going to find some real gems, and that's kind of what I've latched onto as a creative.
That's really lovely.
Yeah, so I think Andy is definitely a songwriter that writes from the heart always, with his lyrics. And I've found my role to be in the process to, I usually don't have to tweak, like I'll read the lyrics and I'll say, okay, does this line, like, what are you trying to get at this, Andy? Like, what are you trying to say here? Because, like, there'll be wording that I just find, like, odd. And sometimes that wording is, like, intentional and it's meaningful, but I have to kind of, like, make sure that that he's getting across what he's trying to get across. And then my favorite part is when we start sort of putting the instrumentation together of the song, because it usually starts with just, guitar and vocals, and figuring out how all the parts fit together, and developing and orchestrating the song so it builds and, has all this complexity to it, and we can, like, layer things and make it more interesting, and really portray the message of, what you were inspired by writing it. So
it's really the collaboration that makes these songs what they are. I mean, even when I was just learning the songs, when I first joined the band, I wouldn't just be humming along with the vocals, or I wouldn't just be thinking along with the drum pattern in my head. I would be humming the violin part. That those melodies and counterpoints are already there, and then in the writing process we're engaged in right now, what I like to bring to it musically is a sense of going in an unexpected direction, but again, it has to coexist with the music being accessible, like you mentioned earlier. And that's something I love about the band too. Is it's music for listening for everyone, just to put on in the living room, however invested you are or knowledgeable you are about music, something you can sit down and have an experience with. But with that being said, I do like pushing things in an unexpected direction, and that's where my creative direction comes from, is just taking a chord progression and trying to kick one out and throw a new one in, or take it somewhere that maybe Andy is locked in thinking about the lyrics, and so he's not quite on the stage of developing it musically. So then I can kind of give that to him, and that's just all that coming together is really what makes the songs Wyblue songs.
And I think part of that speaks to the fact that we all come from very different musical backgrounds. Where, like, Nick and I graduated with music degree, or I graduated. You're still getting your degree. Excuse me. I'm sure you'll graduate. So we had formal musical training in the form of a bachelor's degree, and Andy, I believe you studied history.
Undergrad and secondary education, master's in history.
Right. So he spent a lot on schooling, but not for music. And I found that like having all those different perspectives and different levels of, like, training and understanding of music theory or composition or anything has really played to our advantage, and we're always challenging each other to think about the music in different ways. So yeah, I think that plays to our advantage.
That's really awesome. I personally really love kind of some of the stuff that Andy was talking about with, like, how you, like, genesis your lyrics and all that, It almost is like, it's almost like it belongs on, like, a quote board or something somewhere. Do you have, like, a website or anything that people can find you guys at? Any, like, where can people find your music? You guys got any upcoming gigs where people can get their fill of Wyblue?
So our website is www.wybluemusic.com, right?
No H.
Yes, WYBLUE. There's no H. Yeah, there you go. Close up, right there. And we are on Facebook as a group page, and we have an Instagram and a lot of other. I mean, I'm pretty sure we have the Bandcamp or whatever.
We have
SoundCloud. But we are also, our albums that we have published are on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, Google Play, all of that. So you can stream us on any of your streaming services. Sometimes you might have to type in, like, hometown with Wyblue, I found, but we're getting there, getting up the popularity.
we have to use the algorithms to our advantage eventually.
We've been gigging regularly, but right now we're just focused on recording so we can keep releasing great music and keep generating content to perform live. So just check the Facebook, check the website to see when we're performing next.
Yeah, follow us, and there will definitely be gigs coming out. We'll be doing stuff in the spring and summer for sure.
Awesome. Well, you all have been absolutely, positively lovely to have on tonight. Thank you guys so much for coming on. We'll get right back to the music here, okay?
Thank you.